Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Reclaiming Your Life. I am your host, Kamara.
This podcast is designed to help women overcome their insecurities, self-doubt, and fears within themselves to pursue their dreams by telling her own life experiences. Here's your host, Kamara.
Hey everyone, welcome back. It is episode 8 and it is Friday. How are you doing? All my listeners, welcome back. And for the new listeners, hey, I am your host, Kamara, and welcome to Reclaiming Your Life. This podcast is designed to help women overcome their insecurities, self-doubt, and fears within themselves to pursue their dreams by telling my own life experiences. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So today I'm doing something different. I had a different topic scheduled. I was going to talk about single mothers and what it is to be a single mother and just some other things regarding that. But there's something that's been on my mind all week, and I need to do what it is that I need to do. And that's what I'm going to be doing today. So today, I will just be, apologizing to my listeners. And I am apologizing because I have not been doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I have, but I have been sheltering it in a way, more so, let me choose my words. So I've been sheltering it in a way so that I won't be able to harm anyone. I don't know if that's the right word that I am trying to use, but I have not been transparent as I should have been. I am a very down-to-earth, real person. I am very transparent for all those that know me personally, knows that I'm very down to earth and I, speak my mind, and that's just who I am. And I have not been as transparent as far as telling my story. And telling my story, it's not that I'm ashamed of it because I have been healed from it. So I'm able to talk about it and to share it with people. But I have not been quite transparent. That's the word that I'm going to use. I have not been quite transparent with my story with you guys, and that's what I'm going to do today. And before I get started, some people may look at me that know me personally, say that I have changed. They may try to say that I'm churchy. They try to run jokes with me about when I talk about God. And I don't think they understand where I come from and why I talk about God so much, because the things that I've been through in my life, it was nobody but God. And I'm going to give him all the praise, because without him, I would have not gotten through those things and to be the person that I am today. And granted, I am not perfect and I am nowhere near where I should be, but I am on the journey to who I'm supposed to be. And I don't know if people don't experience things in their life to be able to say, to call on God and ask God, or it doesn't even have to be something tragic or something that you went through to call on God, because you should be calling on God on the good time and the bad time. But sometimes God have a different way of reaching to us, because you may believe in God, but you probably don't call on him until you're in a bad place, or you're in a certain place in your life, or a certain event or tragedy happened in your life, and you need to call on God. And sometimes that's what he do because he want us to call on him. I don't know who this is for, but I am just speaking based on what I know. Sometimes God will put us in situations, put us in certain tragedies for us to call on him so that we know that he is there and that that we're not forgetting about him. And I say that because I'm able to bring God up in almost every conversation because I look at life differently and I look at where I used to be and to where I am now. And I made a 360 because let me tell you something, y'all. I was a mess. I was all over the place. I was broken. And let me tell you, God did a work in me. I ain't saved and sanctified to, churchy and all of that, but he pulled me from somewhere so low and brought me so high. And I am happy and I am not ashamed to say that God had did what he did for me and to where I am and who I have become. And I'm just going to give like a high level of where I was, what led me back to God. And, this is who I am. This is who I am. I am Kamara. My first episode gives you a brief introduction of what this podcast is about. And I feel like I failed you guys. I have not been coming through as I should be. And that's what's been bothering me all this week. And that's what's been heavy on my heart all this week. Because how can I bring somebody else on my show to talk about their insecurities and their self-doubts and their fears that they went through to get to where they are, whether it's owning a business, and I always refer to own a business because that's just my heart as far as an entrepreneur. I'm all about multiple streams of income. But it can be to starting that job, starting your business, buying a house, buying your dream car, reconnecting to whoever that you want to reconnect in your life. How am I able to bring somebody on my show to talk about their story, but I have not even shared my own story? So that's what I'm going to do today in this episode. I'm just going to share a brief high level of my story. And as the other episodes that I do in the future, we'll go into more detail about my story and how I overcame the things that I did. You can you'll probably either, I should say, resonate with it because you're probably going through it or you did go through it, but you're not completely there. Because let me tell you something, guys. I was so broken and my insecurities were within myself. That was my insecurities, was dealing with myself, of not accepting of who I am and to love myself because I didn't know how to love myself. That was another thing that I struggled with. I did not know how to love myself. And now it's just, I know what I want. I know what I want when it comes to a relationship. I know what I want to be as I get older. I know the life that I want to live. I know the success that I want to have. I know that I want to be a millionaire. I know all of these things because I changed my mindset. My mindset was so negative. It was just so, I can't even kid you not. It was really bad. And once I changed my mindset, I feel like I got my life back. I feel like that's when I reclaimed my life because I'm like, you know what? I'm back. This is who I am. And who cares if you don't agree with me or see my vision and my dreams that I see? Because at the end of the day, those are my vision. Those are my dreams. It's not for you to see or to be in agreement with it. That's for me. So now, tell you a little bit of this background of me, and I'm going to start it from here. I'm not going to go back any further than where I'm going to start it from. But this is where things had really hit me, where it was enough was enough. This is where the self-confidence came back. And this is where it was a start of me, but this wasn't where I reclaimed my life. So again, I am not ashamed to tell my story because I am healed. So this is my story to share to help somebody else. So I was in an abusive relationship. People may look at me that know me personally like, you, like all that mouth and the way you are, you were in an abusive relationship? Yes, that was me. I was. But from that abusive relationship also gave me the courage to stand up for myself and not to back down or to accept anyone to talk to me a certain kind of way. So that was the old me, very timid, very emotional, just broken, just broken. And the day that I came to realize I had enough and I cannot do this anymore was the day that I seen my son crying and saying that he was scared because that person did not let me use the bathroom. Because I said I wanted to use the bathroom to get away from this person. And so my son was crying in the corner and was scared. And when I seen that, I said, you know what? This is it. It has affected my child to the point where he sees this and he is crying. Now, granted, my son don't remember any of this. He doesn't. But you want to know why? Because that was a trauma for him. And kids tend to block out traumas. So I'm glad that he does not remember that. But that's when I had enough. I said enough is enough. And my mother doesn't even know this. But this is when I called her and asked her to come back home. And I think I may have gave her, my mother knew that I was abused because a couple of years before that, I did call her and, I was frustrated and I was just talking to her out of anger. And no, I don't even think she knew that I was abused. She knew that there was something going on in a relationship because I called her and I was just like frustrated about what was going on. And, she was talking to me, and that was the first time that I actually opened up to my mother about that relationship in particular. But fast forward, I called my mother and I asked her to come home. And I forgot what excuse I gave her. I don't know if it was because the place I was living in it was infested. There was mice, and they was coming from out of nowhere. Don't think I'm dirty, y'all, so don't judge me, because this was an apartment complex that was remodeled from head to toe. And I don't know if it was a previous abandoned building and they didn't do something, they didn't bomb the place good, or I don't know what they did. But I was living in the building across the way, and I didn't have those issues until I moved onto the other side. So y'all don't judge me. Do not judge me, because I am not a nasty person. I am very clean, and I thought I was living a life at that time because, as I said, everything was remodeled. I had granite countertops, all of that. But anyways, I asked her to come back, and I don't know if it was because I told her that or something, But I asked her to come back home, and I told her that it was going to be temporary. And this was in 2013. Yes, 2013. And I could have moved and went to another apartment. I could have, but if I would have did that, I knew I would have fell back and been felt vulnerable and still would have been trying to contact this individual. But I knew if I went back to my mother's house, she would not be for that, and not to say my mother owns me or run me, but I just know there's certain things that my mother is not going to put up with. And if I came back to her house and I decided to go back to this individual, she probably would have told me I had to go. So I wasn't trying to go nowhere. So I said, you know what? If I go to my mother's house, I know that I'm not going to want to contact this person or reach back out to this individual. So I went back to my mother's house. So me staying there temporary ended up being, 3 years or so? So during this transition of my life, I was just like, why do I need to move back home? Why? I'm like, I've been living on my own this time. I had all, this apartment and this apartment. Like, I just felt like I was going backwards, or I felt like I just felt like I wasn't able to survive on my own for me to go back to my mother's house. That's how I was feeling at the time. But during that transition, so before I get started into the next segment of my story, that's when I decided I had enough. I had enough because in that relationship, it was so toxic. It was emotional abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse. It was bad because that individual had me all messed up, had me feeling low self-esteem. I didn't feel I was beautiful. I didn't feel that I was worthy. I didn't feel that I was wanted. I felt I was so fat because that individual made me fat. But kid you not, I was not even fat. I lost weight and went down to a size 8. Anybody knows me know that I'm very shapely. I got some curves and I had a good shape. And then when I went to an 8, I thought I was fat. And when I look back at those pictures, I was so tiny, like that weight, that size did not even look right or fit me. I had this big old head looking like a bobblehead, and then I looked like I was doing drugs. But my self-esteem was so shattered that I thought I was fat. I thought I was ugly and all of this. I laugh now because I can't believe that I really thought I was fat. And then when I look at myself now, I'm like, well, then what am I now then? Like, if I thought I was fat, then what am I? I was about to get real Jamaican on y'all, so I had to bring it back just now. But I thought I was fat, you guys, and I really wasn't. But anywho, fast forward. So once I moved back to my mother's place, I got into another relationship kind of fast, but I feel like that person came at the right time where I needed to be uplifted. I need to be reminded of my worth and my beauty, because that individual made me feel so beautiful. And that individual, he will always tell me, like, you need to walk like you own the room wherever you go. And when he told me that, it was just like a light bulb clicked. Like, what? Like, it just registered and it clicked like, yo, I got it. And nobody can tell me any difference because I got it, And it made me feel good. It made me feel appreciated. And I know people would say, well, you shouldn't be needing anybody to tell you that you look good or whatever the case might be. Yeah, that's true or whatever. But if you have been broken down and someone, shattered your self-esteem and your self-confidence, sometimes you do need that person to tell you that you look good, you're beautiful, you're worthy, and you're all of these things to kind of get you back up. And I feel like that person was there to do that purpose, to get me back up. And this is why I teach both my children about self-confidence. I teach them both about self-confidence so nobody can't come in and try to break them down. Because once you instill that into your kids at a young age, do you know what you're doing for them as they get older? Because kids are cruel. But if someone tried to talk about them, it's not going to faze them. Nobody's not going to be able to break them down because you already instilled in them from when they were little that they're good at something or that they're beautiful. So that's why I do that with my kids now. But that individual, he came in at the right time and it was just like, yes, okay, I get it. And then I'm just going to fast forward a little bit because, as I said, I'm giving you a high level of my story. And then for the future episodes, I will be going into more detail based on the topic of the episode. But after that relationship, I tried to take something good out of something bad. So obviously that relationship ended. But when that relationship ended, that's when it's like, I had enough. I'm done with all of this, especially when it comes to, myself, my worth, right? And loving myself. And the abusive relationship that I was in, that I was in that for years. So that's when my self-esteem, my confidence, everything was down for some years. But to fast forward, after that relationship where, that individual builds me back up and gave me my self-confidence back, after that, I was just like, you know what? I know what it is to be mistreated and used. I know what it is for someone to make you feel good. So now I know what I want. And nobody can't tell me no different or take that away from me. You have to come correct. You're going to have to come correct. Whoever my future husband is, you just going to have to come correct. Point blank, period. Because I'm not taking no mess from nobody. I'm not. I know what I want. And you either going to live up to it or you're not. Then that means you're just not for me. And that's okay. It's okay. But you guys, the moral of my story is that I've been through some things. And once you listen to the future episodes, I just want to be able to impact somebody. And I'm sharing my stories because not only this is my purpose of working with women, I knew that I was supposed to work with women for a couple of years, but I didn't know how until God told me that I need to share my stories of what I've been through. And that's what's been bothering me all this week because I was not really sharing my story. And I can share this story with you guys and let you know that whatever it is that you're going through, there is a light at the end of that tunnel. God will see you through. It may look like the world is going to cave in and you may be questioning God. You may be upset with God. Like, why are you going through this? You don't deserve it. I know, because I said all these things. I said all these things. And you can be upset with God, but don't question what he's doing. Don't question what he's doing, because there is a purpose to everything that happens in your life. Whether you see it now or whether you see it later. But there is a purpose to what is going on in your life right now, or what happened in your life in the past. And I feel like for me to go through the things that I went through is because I can now be here to talk to you and to tell you what God has done for me and what it means so much to me to be able to see myself through and to be here to share this with you, hoping to help somebody through it all, I should say, through it all. And, as I said before, we don't know why we go through what we go through. And sometimes he put us in situations because he wants to see if we're going to call on him. Sometimes, I'm going to say it again, sometimes he put us in situations to see if he's going to call, if we're going to call on him. And I never understand why some people will be in church, will be in church and they jumping and praising God, because we don't know what they've been through and what God has taken them out of. We don't know. I used to wonder all the time. But now, when somebody tell me what they've been through and what God has done, I just feel it for them. I feel it. Or if I am talking with someone and God is talking through them to me, I'm just like, you know what? God, this is confirmation. You know how we do. That's confirmation. You hear a song on the radio, that's confirmation. And it's true. It is true. I just had a conversation with one of my good friends on Wednesday. And when she said something to me, I almost cried. And I was like, you know what? I said, God is speaking through you to me right now. He is. And I took that and I said, you know what? I need to share my story despite of my past, because you know what? I've changed. So you can't hold my past against me, or you can't try to bring my past and throw it in my face to try to hurt me, because you know what? That's my past. I'm healed from it and I've changed. I'm a new person today. I am. I'm not saying I'm perfect, because I'm far from perfect, but I have changed and I've grown and I have matured. The things that I think about, the things that I have discussions with other people, it shows the level of my maturity and how much I have grown. People think when I talk is like it don't make sense, or I don't know what they feel, but trust me, the way that I think is different. And y'all gonna hear my name. Trust me, y'all gonna hear my name, because in a couple of years, I'm gonna be able to tell you when I started with these podcasts as to where I am to be speaking and making impacts on people's lives. Because that is my purpose, is to help women overcome their insecurities and their self-doubts within themselves, to be able to get over their fears in order to pursue their dreams, whatever it is. Because that's what I had to do to be able to get the courage to start reclaiming your life, to start this podcast, I had to get over my fears. I already overcame my insecurities and my self-doubts, but my fear was to go public and to share my story. And that was the reason of me starting Reclaiming Your Life, so that I can start my woman empowerment community to help women like yourself, or like your sister, or your cousin, or whoever you know that is going through whatever it is that they're going through right now, that may need some word of encouragement or some uplifting. That's why I'm here, and this is why I started this podcast. Didn't want to take up too much time of you guys' time on this Friday, but this has been on my heart all week. God done convicted me several times over and over and over this week. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it right. And I hope that I was able to encourage someone. I know it's Friday, but I hope I was able to encourage you on this end of the week. I don't want to say your work day, because some people may work on the weekends. So I hope that I was able to encourage someone, to uplift them, to give them hope, to seek God. Ask Him what it is that He needs you to do, or what He wants you to do. Pray for discernment. Pray for wisdom. Because trust me, that's one thing I pray for. I'm not going to say every day, but whenever I do pray, which is most of the time, no, it kind of is every day. I'm not going to lie. It is when I think about it. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's one thing I make sure to pray for is wisdom. Because sometimes you have to have wisdom. Because if you don't have wisdom, common sense ain't going to be able to make it all the time. Trust me, wisdom outweighs common sense. So I always pray for wisdom in each prayer, every time I pray. So I hope I was able to encourage someone today on this Friday morning, afternoon, evening, over the weekend, or whenever you listen to this episode. But I hope I was able to encourage someone. Keep the faith. And I know it's easier said than done, but keep the faith, keep praying, and you will get through this. You will. And until next time, I will see you same time, same place next week, Friday. Bye, you guys. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a review.